So one of my favorite YouTubers is a guy by the name of Kyle McDougall. He's a photographer and he did 3 videos that showed results of underexposing and overexposing certain films. He did Portra 400, Kodak Ektar 100, and Fuji Pro 400H. His method was that he would underexpose 1, 2, and 3 stops and then overexpose 1 through 6. And the results he got were pretty good. My thoughts were I don't underexpose very much, so I just did overexposed for a whole roll. I started with box speed, ISO 160, and did the correct exposure for that. And then the next 9 shots were all overexposed by 1 stop. So my first reading was f5.6 at 1/400th of a second. And obviously that's gonna turn out great. Colors look good, exposure was spot on. Everything looked good. So then what I did was I switched the f-stop to f4, so we're 1 stop over now. And again, colors look fine. You're not really going to get too many color shifts with 1 stop over. Then I switched down to 2.8. And that's at 2 stops over, looks fine. Again, you're not going to get many color shifts. Then I started to switch the shutter speed from 400 to 250. Take that shot, 250 down to 125, and I proceeded to do that for the whole roll. So that's 5 stops over, again, not looking too bad. And as you can see, the negatives, the one on the left is the correct exposure, and the one on the right is 9 stops overexposed. Now the way that I scan these was the exact same as I scan any negative. You're going to want your histogram to be as far to the right as possible without clipping your highlights. And I always scan at f8. So as you can see, it's f8, ISO 200. And this is going to be 9 stops overexposed with Portra 160. And I convert everything with Negative Lab Pro. And straight off the bat, it honestly didn't look too bad. Colors were a little shifted, but nothing too crazy, which is unbelievable. And then here's a little color correction I did, a quick 5-minute correction just to try to get the colors how I remembered them. And then there's a side-by-side of the uncorrected and the corrected version. So overall, I thought it was a pretty cool test. I'm always worried that if I take like a 400 speed film out and I want to shoot wide open at 2.8, I feel like I might overexpose a little bit, maybe 1, 2, 3 stops in order to get that nice separation and bokeh in the background. It's like I want to shoot wide open, but I just don't want everything to be blown out. And this just goes to show that you can shoot overexpose quite a bit before you get any sort of damage to the image. Definitely not saying to overexpose by 9 stops, but it's nice to know that you have leeway in doing so. Judging by my video and judging by Kyle's video, it's safe to say that if you're going to mess up, err on the side of overexposure and not underexposure, because in Kyle's video, underexposed by 3 stops was just a terrible image, and as you can see from this video, overexposed by 9 stops is going to leave you with not the best image, but something that you can at least get details out of and retain a lot of color and information in the image. So I hope you all liked that little experiment. If you want to see more videos like this, just let me know and I'll try to make it. Super fun to experiment with stuff like this. Again, hope you enjoyed it and have a good one.